All right. So we're live. We're live, guys. It worked. Everything worked. Only took a week to get it right. Where lost my guests. Where'd you guys go? Let's see here. So what's up, you guys? Coach David here with Metro Jiu Jitsu. So we're live. I'm adding people in here. Well, Coach Alvarez. We got Coach Alvarez back. Coach, how we doing today?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Sweet. And we got Professor Muhammad. There we go. All right, you guys. So we're live here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Coach Alvarez. I appreciate. I know your Tuesdays are pretty packed. I appreciate you taking time to to be on with us and kind of talk shop a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So, Coach Muhammad, we I know you're super stoked this week because we have Nogi Worlds coming up. I've done a lot of training with our adults. And so I'm just going to introduce Coach Alvarez, and then we can start picking his brain about his competitor's mindset, what he does going into a tournament, and kind of some tips and tricks for the team and maybe the public watching. Is that cool?
Sounds good. Good morning, guys.
Morning. So, all right. So those who don't know, Coach Alvarez, he's quite literally a BJJ hero, legend. I mean, he's been in the game for decades, a multiple-time world champion, both in the gi and in no-gi. And Coach Alvarez, when did you start training? I know we were talking pre-show, but when did you actually start training jiu-jitsu?
That was mid-90s, back in Saginaw, Michigan. Just, 18 years old, and when I saw the first UFC, Hoist Gracie and everything like that, it was I was already graduated from high school and saw that, and then I think maybe a couple years later, it finally made its way to Saginaw, and I was a Taekwondo guy that black belt in Taekwondo that would fly out to Torrance, the Grace Academy, every so often, and then bring back some techniques, and then started teaching a couple classes a week, and that's pretty much how I, found it and got to train it. Really didn't have a lot of options to train, so the guys that did train, we got kind of close and started training all at each other's houses. Cleared out his shed and put down some mats and some space heaters and stuff like that, and we would just be out there in the cold, just getting after it, just trying to do some jiu-jitsu, man, or thought we were doing jiu-jitsu.
It sounds like you had, I'm guessing puzzle mats. You had puzzle mats going on?
I think he had like some foam and some tarp, and I don't know. He just made a space, man, and it wasn't that big, but it was good enough for us to go in there and mess around and stuff like that. So I mean, it was a hook. It was just a hook. It was just like it's just like you're just fiending to just get some jiu-jitsu, man. So we would just wherever, however, would just find a way to just get some training in. And like I said, it was probably pretty ugly. If I was to look back at it now, probably wasn't the prettiest jiu-jitsu, but it was, to us, it was like the greatest thing ever. So we would just find a way to do it, and so yeah, I would say mid-90s, but it wasn't until I came to Texas in 2001 where I was I was able to really get dedicated to it and have an actual jiu-jitsu school with no other martial arts but Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu coach. He was a brown belt at the time, shortly got his black belt afterwards. But it was just jiu-jitsu, and he was a Carlos Machado black belt. And so Carlos Machado was like 30, 40 minutes away. So then I would drive out there to go and train under the master himself. Like at that time, like the Machado brothers were like a big thing,
Yeah,
they were actually the first Brazilians that I trained under was John Machado, because the Taekwondo guy in Saginaw, he would bring the Machado brothers, a few of them, to Saginaw to do seminars. So that's how I got to meet them. And then when I moved to Texas, Carlos was here and I was under one of his brown belts, and then sooner became a black belt. And then I trained a lot with Carlos and his guys out in Dallas at his academy. I would drive out there almost every Saturday to go and train. I did all his workshops and stuff like that. A lot of his old DVDs. I'm in his DVDs where I'm like either off to the side taking notes, or I'm actually being his partner that he's drilling the technique on to show everyone. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah. So it's yeah, that's when it really started to get going for me, because it was just jujitsu, and I had jujitsu like a coach, a jujitsu coach, and just so then that was like, okay, now I'm committed, like I'm training every week, got specific days that I'm training. I'm not having to, ask guys, you want to meet here, meet there, can you train this week? Can you train? I mean, I had a schedule now. I had committed days that I was going, and then I was off to the races after that. So yeah.
So when was your first tournament? Uh, why did you do your first tournament? And like, what was it like? Was it something that you wanted to do? Was it something that your coaches recommended or pushed? Like, how did your first tournament start back then, and what happened from that point? Like, was that when it triggered you as being knowing that you're a competitor, or did it take a little bit of time?
Um. Well, I'll take it a little bit before that. I was when I first started at my um coach's uh academy, I think it was Carlos Machado always had um uh tournaments. Not always, but he had like 2 or 3 tournaments a year. And I remember driving out there because I heard that he had a tournament in Dallas. So I remember being in the stands and watching these guys compete. Well, I wrestled in high school in Saginaw. So, I was familiar with that. We had, we wrestled and we had meets every week. So when sitting in the bleachers watching these guys, I was like, I belong out there. Like that's where I should be.
Mm.
That's what I should be doing. Putting this much work into this thing, like I should be out there competing. So when I came here and I started with my coach down here, Orlando Waugh, he was I was still a white belt, but I got my blue belt like in 6 months because I had all that backyard grappling, shed grappling, living room grappling, wrestling experience. So it didn't take me very long to get my blue belt down here. So right when I got my blue belt, I think I did one tournament as a white belt. Yeah, I did one tournament as a white belt because I didn't have much time as being a white belt down here. And then when I got my blue belt, go and do it. And that was just kind of the mindset. Like I just wanted to test my belt. I just wanted to test my skills and where I was at, and what was working, what wasn't working. And I just wanted to just kind of I just wanted to see, was I really that belt rank that my coach gave me, and how well did I do with the other guys out there like that? So, it was a lot harder to find tournaments back then. They didn't really have like what they have now. There's so many options to do. So there's only very few. And so I'd go to Houston, I go to Austin, you know, tournaments here in the area, and I would just, drive wherever to just go and compete. But that was really the mindset, was like, I just want to see where I'm at, and what I can and can't do. And that's just kind of what I was just thinking. I really wasn't thinking like anything else but that at the time. Was just I just want to go and see where I'm at with my belt and my skills at that point. So
Coach, I have a question. So you wrestled in high school? How many years did you wrestle for?
I did 2 years. I started late. I wish I would have started a lot earlier, found it earlier. I played baseball pretty much my entire life up until I was like a freshman in high school. And then I played basketball as well. So I did all those team sports. But then I had some friends of mine that would always just kick my butt all the time, and they wrestled. And I was like, man, I'm just tired of this, because every time we'd go over their house on the weekends or whatever, they would just wrestle me up in the front yard. I didn't know what the heck was going on or really what it was. So I just literally walked into the wrestling room one day and was like, hey, how do you join? How do you do this? Like, how do I get signed up? And they're just like, you just try out, like just come on in and try it out. And I just fell in love with it right away because it was more of a one-on-one versus a team sport kind of thing.
Mm.
And so um, uh, I did pretty good my first year. I didn't start until I was, I think, a sophomore, junior, I think. And I got what most improved wrestler of the year that year. And then went to a wrestling camp, like a Dan Gable wrestling camp in the summer.
That's dope.
So
What-
yeah, so I got into it like real deep. Like I just fell in love with it like right away. Like I mean, you're talking the runs and the workouts and the training. It just kind of fit my personality, I guess. Kind of fit. I don't know. I just liked it a lot. So obviously having that wrestling background, it wasn't like extensive. I wasn't like some kid that just grew up wrestling since I was 4 or 5 years old. I wasn't like some super beast at wrestling, but I got pretty good at it pretty quick for the time that I was training. And so when I found jiu-jitsu, I was like, man, this is just like wrestling, but you get to choke people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know, if this is legal, like how is this even legal? That was just always in my mind. I was like, how is this even how can you even like get away with this? And I was like, man, this is right up my alley. Um so that definitely helped. But I didn't have a lot of wrestling experience, but it did really help me. Yeah.
So I want on that note, this is kind of a side tangent, right? I think about that. I think the converse, right? I think if you go back, it's like that popular meme where men think about the Roman Empire every day. Like we think about that. Like that used to be kind of standard. Combat was like you need to know how to grow food. You need to know how to fight, and like
Right.
those were non-negotiable. There was no man who grew up like not knowing combat. Like it just kind of wasn't
Right.
an option because like you would need it. And so I think about that. What do you think? We have a lot of um, we have people who they're like, oh well, I'm not aggressive like that. I don't I don't think I'd like being that close to men. Like, what's the type of? I mean, you've been in this game for decades. Is there a personality or I don't want to say stereotype, but a stereotype or like a type of person that gravitates more towards jujitsu, like that you're like let's say they didn't wrestle. Most of the people who join our team, they have no experience, zero. And so
Mm-hmm.
like is there like a mold or like people who tend to find jujitsu and acclimate to it a little bit more than others? Is it more athletes? Is it more I mean, I know your team, so I know kind of what your team
Right.
consists of,
I,
but
I think over all these years, um, the people that have like that competitive edge in anything, they kind of that's what they're missing in life. So that's what they kind of I think that's why they kind of get it drawn to jujitsu, like far as the adults, like man, I played sports in high school, college, that's over with now. I'm miss, working out's cool, but it's not really competitive. Running's cool, cardio's cool, but it's not really good. But they look at jujitsu, they see jujitsu, they find out about it, like, hey, that looks like something I might like to do. So I do have a lot of people that maybe didn't wrestle or anything like that, but they played sports and they're missing that in their life. And when they find it,
mhm.
that fills that void for them. That gives them that sense of they can be competitive with it. Maybe they don't plan on competing or didn't want to compete. I get that all the time. Oh, I'm not here to compete. And then 3 4 months down the road, hey coach, when can I start competing? I'm like, well, I just thought you didn't want to compete. Yeah, well, I kind of, you know what I mean? And that's just, it goes down that road. And then you have the other people where like they're not really competitive. They're kind of introvert, shy, don't really have that aggressive bone in their body. But, you know, um, they just find jujitsu and then they kind of find their way through jujitsu. I have some students like that, or like
Mm.
not really strong, not really athletic, don't work out, don't run, don't want to stereotype here either. Wear some glasses, don't really look threatening at all, no
They're
tattoos,
Peter
no,
Parkers. I say it all
yeah,
the time. They're
yeah. And there's some of my best guys, they really find their way in jujitsu. The kids are the same way, I've had some kids that have cried for like the first year and then now they're just beasts. They just got past that stage. The parents did them justice and did not pull them out too soon. Let them find their way through all that pain and, you know, crying and stuff like that. And I don't want to go. I'm getting beat up. I'm getting tapped out. I'm getting dominated. And then after that first year or so, they just become the ones that are doing that now. You know, their demeanor change, their confidence change, everything changes. It's with all students. So you just, you know, some people, like I said, they're competitive and they're missing something, so they find their way to jiu-jitsu. And then you have the other ones where they're kind of, I don't know if this is for me. Let me go try it out. They kind of stumble in there and just, you know, and they're like, whoa, okay, I can actually do this. And you just see the spark in them, in their eyes and everything. Once they get the hang of it, like, man, I'm choking this guy out, and he's like bigger, stronger, got muscles, you know, like you see like that's a, I don't know, man, that's a shot in the arm like you just can't get from anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, and it's a great feeling as a coach to watch another person kind of go through those phases of like, because you got people that when you watch, I'm sure you guys have the same thing. Like, man, I don't know if this guy's gonna make it. You know what I mean? He's getting smashed every day. He comes in, and then they battle through all that, and then now they're the ones that are doing the smashing and choking people out. They become some of your most technical, you know, jiu-jitsu players on the mat. You know, so I think
So,
it's a little
Coach,
bit of both.
I got a question for you. So, with all sports, you know, uh, usually these are going to be like team sports, organized sports, football, baseball, hockey, basketball. Even intramural sports, like you go, you practice, and you learn the game, you craft your skill a little bit better, and then you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I want to test it. I'm willing to scrimmage or play against another person. And I know at like the probably the 3 to 6 month mark, sometimes as early as three, you have people who start jujitsu, and like you said, they feel like it works, and they want to say, okay, maybe I'll try a tournament. You know,
Mhm.
and because they see the effectiveness, and it's real time. When you're sparring, you're doing matches. Like in a training session, uh, it's like a real fight. It's
Right.
100% go. So, in your opinion, from your experience, after the 3 to 6 month mark, the people who are afraid to try it, and we're talking about like the ones who might not have played sports in high school, or the ones that maybe start in their late 20s, early 30s, that don't have like a competitive mindset. They might not know they have it, maybe in business or maybe in their career, like they're competitive, and they like to compete, debate, and they like to win. What do you think holds the average Joe back from actually getting out there? Maybe outside of it being uh, like a basketball game or football game, because you have 10, 12 players, 5 to 11 players on the team, that you're kind of working as a unit. Obviously everybody has to do their job. In jiu-jitsu, you're on your own. But outside of that, what do you think that holds people back from saying, I am going to test it, this is out of my realm, out of my domain, to compete?
I think a lot of it has to do with they just don't think they're any good. I'm sure you guys have the same problem where like you see students and like, man, they're getting pretty good. Like you're like, wow, like they're really getting a hold of this thing. They're really making some you know, they're really progressing in this thing. But in their mind, they don't think they are because maybe they're comparing themselves with other teammates or someone that's really really good or one of your top people in the school. So I think a lot of that has to do with it where like they compare themselves to someone else and they don't see the growth in themselves, and so they don't think that they're going to go out and do good because maybe they're not doing that good in the academy with certain people. um, and so I think that kind of holds them back as well. uh, at least that's from my experience. What I get is that like I have some students that are really good, like really good, and like me and the other coaches are like, man, you see so and so like did this or did that or tapped so and so or whatever, And like, man, they should really compete. They should try and get out there and just kind of test themselves and see what. And then when you ask them about it, like, oh, I just don't think that's for me, or I don't think I'm ready to do that. And I'm like, but you're not. They're not on the outside looking in and seeing, like, watching themselves roll. Like they just can't see how good they really are. And then us as coaches, we got to try and talk them into, like, or not talk them into it, but like explain to them how good they really are and what, you know, like, to go out there and do that, So, because after a while, like I said, I tell this to my students all the time, like, jujitsu is the only thing I've ever seen where, like, all you do is scrimmage. Like, for some people, like, no other sport in their life, if they played a sport, you had to go out and play the game. Like, every weekend, you had a game, every week, or multiple games: softball, baseball, basketball, soccer, volleyball, pick something. You had to, like, you practice during the week, and then you had a game on the weekend. And in jiu-jitsu, they just practice and then don't want to go play the game like that. I still struggle with that as a coach, like how some people don't really want to go play the actual game, because you're just in your comfort zone. There's really no lights on you. There's really no one really watching you. You're kind of in your own little thing, but there's really no growth there. I mean, well, there's growth, but it's minimal growth compared to, like, if you step out of that comfort zone and go compete. The amount of growth that you will have is just ridiculous, and that's what I always found when I competed. It just magnified what I did, what I'm doing good at, and it magnified what I'm not doing good at, like where the holes are at. So I was able to fix those a lot faster than the guys that didn't compete, you know and I got a lot better, a lot faster, because those individuals just never wanted to step out the comfort zone and compete. So, it's all of that together.
Coach,
So,
so on that topic, right, or on that same point, I'm gonna feed a good question here. Like sell, obviously I know the benefits of competing, but I like those two kind of characters you mentioned, like the nerdy not workout kind of, like, Jocko calls them knuckle dragon kids. Like that was me when I started. And then your athlete, competitive, sort of like, macho man, that was Muhammad when he started, right? So like we're kind of those two styles. Sell, like, what's the value though? Like what's the sell me on competing? Imagine that I'm started. Why would I compete? There's no money. There's no real money in it. I mean, unless you're in like the top half of percent, there's no
mhm.
real money in competing. So sell, like, why compete? What's the benefit of it? Like because maybe that's what people have in their head is like, well, dude, I got, like, especially a lot of them, I got a job. I've got, why would I spend one of my weekend days going to play a game when I've got, like, something else going on? Like what are the benefits there? Like, sell us on that.
Well, first off, like, just the internal, like, you can't put a price on winning. Like, when you go through all those fears, right? Of, like, I might get hurt. What if I lose? What if my family comes out and watch me and I don't do good? Like, just all the things that you put in your own mind, and you work through all that stuff, and you go out there and not only battle yourself and all the things that you put in your mind, plus battle the guys that are in your division, or ladies, and you go out and win and get your hand raised, and you stand on that number one spot, and the person comes and puts that in your neck there with that gold medal, and you got a second and a third place or whatever. there that is one of the greatest absolute feelings ever. And I think if you do jiu-jitsu, you should go and feel what that feels like, or at least try to. you know Maybe you come up short, but in the process you're getting better, because what happens if you're just always just kind of practicing and never really trying to go compete is you're not really, like, honing in on the diet, the hydration, the sleep. Like you're like, when you're competing, like, you're specifically going to practice with a purpose. Like, I'm trying to perfect this. I'm trying to get this better. I need to work on my takedowns. I need to work on my guard pass. I need to work on my sweeps. I need to work on my submissions. Like, all these things. I need to cut my calories. You're a little hungry. like you're starving a little bit, like, your low calorie deficit, like you're eating healthier, you're looking better, you're feeling better. You're just a little, that dog is starting to come out in you, man. Like that other person is starting to really come out because you are hungry. You are a little upset. You are a little, little ornery because you're like, man, I just want to eat. But you take away all your weekend foods, your cheat meals or what have you, and now you haven't had those in a couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks, and you're just focusing. You're coming in. You're getting so much better. You're getting so much better. You're getting healthier. You're getting leaner. You're getting more fit. You're just everything is just improving. Everything improves. And then, but that's the other thing. Well, what if I do all that and then I come up short? Yeah, but what if you do all that and what if you win? They like this the because I know I've done that. Like I've done like I tell my students, it's one thing, guys, to like do all that work and drive 20 minutes away to go to a tournament in your own hometown or close to it. Try doing all that work and having all that stuff in your mind and having to get on a plane and go to Japan, Portugal, Abu Dhabi, Australia, Brazil, like, and then like, what if I do all that stuff, get on this plane, pay all this money, fly there. When you land, you get off the plane, you smell all the coffee and the treats and the desserts and the whatever their food is that they have, and you have to walk right past it and just you're hungry, go weigh yourself, realize that you're overweight because of the plane ride or whatever, 9 hours, and now you got to put on a sauna suit and go run. What if I do all this stuff and then lose? What if I do all this stuff and I win? You know, and so I've been on both sides of that where I have done all that, flew all over the world and lost. That's a long plane ride home. That sucks. It's a very long 9, 10, 12 hour flight home. It sucks, but there's a lot of self-reflection on that. Like there's a lot of things that, need to be worked on, obviously. And then you got the other side of that where it's like, well, I've won. And it's like the greatest like plane ride back to the United States. Either way, I'm better because of it. Whether I win or I lose, I'm better because of the amount of work, the amount of change that had to happen to get prepared for that. Now I got people that don't make no changes. There's no extra cardio, there's no extra workouts. They're coming to class the same. Well, yeah, there's not really much growth in that, right? Because they didn't really change no habits. But for the ones that do, I just think that feeling that you get of accomplishment, you just can't put a price on that. Like no one can give you that. Your wife can't give that to you. Your husband can't give that to you. Like a friend, a family member, like when you go in and put that kind of work in and you face your own demons and fears and your thoughts and things of whatever, and the other people in your division and you come out on top, it just makes you a stronger person. It really, really, really does. And it gives you that taste for more. Like, oh, I want some more of this. I want to know, like, what else can I do? How much further can I go? And then you have the other side of that, like, well, if I lose, that's a bad taste in your mouth. Doesn't taste too good. You're kind of beating yourself up a little bit. And you have two reactions to that, or two options. You can quit, never try it again, or you can be like, you know what? Yeah, I was pretty close or whatever. Like I want to figure this out. I want to figure out, go to my coaches, see what I did wrong, see what I did right. And I want to go and try that again and go and see how much closer can I get on the next one. You know what I'm saying? Because that was my mindset. Like I didn't know what I was really doing back then. There was no Flow Grappling, YouTube, Instagram. We didn't have resources like that, right? Like we just didn't have that kind of stuff. So I would just drive places and just let's just go see what happens, man. Let's just go see what's going on. And I had good days and I had bad days. Either way, I was better. I was better because of it. Like no doubt.
Coach,
Like
I
my
was Coach Alvarez. I was talking to somebody the other day. I ran into a guy that we grew up with, and I didn't know this at the time. Very humble guy. He owns a company that's worth like 60 to $100 million. Public information. I didn't know that when I talked to him. I'd run him into a couple times. He'd ask me about jujitsu, and we're not talking about millions, like multi-million-dollar company. And I was talking to, he'd ask me about jujitsu and how you doing. I didn't know what he did, and I would have never guessed by it. By talking to him that he's worth like he has this big company, he's worth like so much money. And you know, when when you talk to somebody that's successful in the business world or for his career, they ask you about it, and like I really admire somebody who's built that kind of wealth. Now it's generational wealth right now. um, I was talking to my one of my friends, and I said, that guy has something that I want. But I'll tell you what, I know what all the zeros look like on a 50 to $100 million company, and I would not trade that for the what jujitsu has given me and what competition has given me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even if I could use $100 million to dedicate my entire life to training, competing, taking care of my body, all that stuff, there's no, like, I don't even have to think about it. Just start over. You know what you need to do, but the work ethic, the personal growth, the physical growth that comes from jiu-jitsu, you cannot, you can't buy it. Like, you have to earn it. So I got a
Yeah.
question for you. Like, getting back to competing, you have athletes that they are just like, they are a born fighter. And I'm going to use
Mm-hmm.
one of your guys. I think his name is Juan. He's probably a brown belt by now. He trains, and I think his kids train. Hispanic guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name?
Yeah, yeah, that's one
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah. So I was in the corner, watching his match, helping him coach and seeing him, and he's probably in his, like, what, 40s.
No, he's 52, I think.
But and I rolled with the guy. The guy is he is just a tough man. And he's
Yeah,
not
he's
just
a
physically tough, like, he's
yeah.
tough out here. This is like, every roll with that man was like a war. And I saw him in a competition, and he had some success. I saw him win some really deep stretch matches, going into deep territory, and the guy had something that you can't really coach, you know? So my
Right.
question is this: at what point do you have to make a shift from teaching toughness or using toughness and heart to teaching and saying, I have to be a technical person at jujitsu? Like, where, in your opinion, what's the balance of toughness, heart, technical, and tactical when it comes to competing?
I think that depends on like your opponent, you know, um, because if you have like a really technical opponent, um, you got to be technical as well. Like you can't be overly aggressive and just try to grind them out and just kind of beat them up. And if they got like really good defenses and guard and whatever, you're just gonna tire yourself out, right? So at least in my opinion, like you have to be like you got to know, what you're up against. And a lot of that's what I love about jiu-jitsu is like sometimes you can kind of maybe like do some film study on who your opponents are, and sometimes you don't know. This guy pops in, you has no idea what his game is. So on the fly, you have to adjust to what's in front of you. That's what I love about it the most. Like it's like it's a puzzle that you have to figure out right now, and you either have to know like when to apply that gritty mental like toughness part of it, or like, okay, this guy's technical, he's slow, he's not really bringing the heat right now, so I'm gonna, like your strategy wise has to change for each opponent, and you just got to know how to you got to know how to play the game. And how do you know how to play the game is by the more you do it. The more you do it, the more you get acclimated with like what the feeling is when you get out there. You'll just know. So there's a time to be technical and methodical, and there's a time where like, man, it's go time. This is it. Minute left, 30 seconds left. I gotta grind this person out, and I gotta get this dub because I gotta show the ref, that I'm trying to win, or I have an opportunity right here to take it home and finish. So let's finish it. So I think it really depends on who you're up against. So I think it's a trap in some cases where like if you just have like a one style, you think you're just gonna go and try to brawl and be brute type style jiu-jitsu with someone and they're really technical. I think you get trapped and get caught. So you got to know when to apply that and when not to apply that type of aggression. I feel like my style is a really aggressive style. I'm not really like a slow, methodical jiu-jitsu guy. But I can bring it up and down whenever I need to, depending on what I'm feeling out there. I mean, I got some guys that try to, they try to bully you out there. They try to, they're real rough. They're trying to just kind of impose their will on you. So you kind of have to, okay, that's how we're playing today. Then let's get after it like that. Then you got those other ones where they're like, they're trying to draw you into their game, their world, kind of, so to speak. So you have to know how to adjust to that, where like not get caught in that either. So I think you have to have a really good feel for, you know, understanding who your opponents are. I think that really helps.
Coach, we have a lot of people who they end up in our comment section and they say jiu-jitsu is not applicable on the street. Sport jiu-jitsu is not a street fight, and so it's not going to fly. What's your reaction?
I mean, you can just do that with the kids. Like I got kids, I'm sure you do too, where like I got 10 and 11, 12-year-olds. Like if some other kid were to pick on my kids that I have in my jiu-jitsu class, it it'd be a bad day for those kids. They would literally physically like destroy those kids, put them to sleep, break their arm, you know, body slam them on the concrete like with a hard double leg. Like, and the same thing for the adults. I think when you have these kind of skills in jiu-jitsu and you're in there week in and week out, month after month, year after year, and you're like Coach Mo said earlier, like it's the closest thing. Like you're in a real fight scenario without the punching and the kicking on a daily basis. Like having someone, whether they're the same size as you, maybe 20, 30 pounds heavier than you, trying to physically impose their will and dominate you and choke you out. Like you learn how to adjust to those things. So in a real street fight, most people don't do jiu-jitsu. And just like you guys see, like I see, and all the other coaches in the world see, guys that come in and they try a class and they look fit and they look strong and they look tough, they have maybe 2 good minutes in them, and it's a wrap.
Yeah.
I have so many guys throw up on my mat, not literally on my mat, but we have a trash can to it. And I have guys that literally just took a break from jiu-jitsu because they went on vacation for 3 weeks and they come back and they're throwing up. Okay, like imagine a guy that just gets up off the bar stool at B-Dubs, just had a pitcher of beer and some wings, and doesn't fight, isn't really active, and he thinks that you're gonna like jiu-jitsu isn't gonna work on you. Man, you're out of your mind. Like you're out of shape, you're fat, you have no skills, and you got a little buzz going, and you think maybe like because you feel hard all of a sudden, like you're gonna do like. No, man, that's not how it works. And people that make those comments, they're just silly, man. They are like I would say most guys out there that do jiu-jitsu and that they really had to defend themselves, they're not gonna shake hands with the guy and pull guard. Like they're gonna hit a nice double leg, body slam someone on the ground, get on top of them, and it's pretty much gonna be over after that. And if they turn around, like they're gonna get choked out, they're gonna be ground and pounded. Like you don't have to teach anyone how to throw a punch. You can have the ugliest punch and still knock someone out, right? Like you see it all the time. World Star videos, whatever on Facebook. Some dudes just slinging. If you just get caught, like boom, you're going to sleep. But that's not how jiu-jitsu works. You get taken down on the ground. You can't just like oh, I'm just gonna throw this Hail Mary up there and just
You're not gonna get lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna get lucky and throw up some triangle that you just don't know no, but that's not how it works. Like you get taken down, you're done, man. Like you're done. Like that's it's a wrap. So I feel like those guys are delusional and they just don't really know what they're talking about. I feel like if you have really good jiu-jitsu skills and you show up, well, that's what I tell my students. These are perishable skills. If you don't keep showing up, you know some jiu-jitsu. If you don't know if you know jiu-jitsu, but if you stop coming, you might get into a scrap and you might have like edge because you know jiu-jitsu. But what about your conditioning? What about your timing? What about everything that's involved in that? So that's one of the main reasons why I show up every day, because you just never know. The world's crazy, man. People are crazy. People do stupid stuff. So you know. And then you got the firearm people. Well, I'll just pull up my firearm. That's not how it works either, man. I ain't going to prison. Like, you know, I'm not gonna just shoot. You can't just shoot anyone for any reason. Like, you have to have like a real threat in front of you to do that.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that real threat in front of you, and like you don't have your firearm on you, like, what's the next best thing? You like your physical skills that you have with your hands and your feet and everything else. So you have to be able to be ready all the time to do that. And I'm more than confident that, like, if I got into a street confrontation with someone, they better not get tired. They better not make a mistake, because if they do, it's a wrap, man. Like, it's over. And the thing is if you don't really want to hurt them, you don't really have to. You know what I mean? If you get them to a certain point. So I've been doing this stuff long enough to where, like, I'm more than confident that if anything happens in the street, I can handle myself very, 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 very well. Yeah.
If
So
you got a student, sure, you've seen it many times before. They walk up to you and they're like, "Coach, I'm going to be a world champion," or "Coach, I'm going to hit this tournament or that tournament," or, you know, like they make a statement, like they're motivated that day. They got that jiu-jitsu energy flowing, and, you know, I'm going to Pans, I'm going to Worlds, I'm going to win this tournament. And obviously that happens all the time. You know, you get the ones who just they say it.
mhm.
As a coach, how do you handle hearing that? Like, I'm going to be the best grappler and I'm going to, you know, compete and win, or I'm going to this tournament, that tournament. Obviously, you got to put your money where your mouth is. You got to get out there and you got to say it by showing it. So,
Mhm.
how do you handle students and people that, you know, see the culture? They see, man, this looks fun. I had a good day, or just looking around, you know, saying, whoa, I love what I see here. I love the energy. You know, these guys are getting into dog fights, you know, they're battling. And when they're done, it's just done. You know, they're, you know, teammates, and, you know, it's not personal, but they want to be a part of it.
Mhm.
And for those, you know, there's often many people in jiu-jitsu that say they want it, but they're not willing to put in the work, because once they punch the time clock in, they realize, oh shit, this is this is more than work. This is serious. You got to be 100% committed.
Happens. Happens. It
How do
happens
you
all the
handle that?
time. Well, I'm pretty hard on my guys about that. I make it very clear, like, if you're not ready to go into those, to do all the extra things to make that happen, then don't bother coming to me with goals like that. You want to do AGF, Naga, New Breed, you know, them local tournaments. Not disrespecting those tournaments, but it is what it is. They're just not IBJJF tournaments, you know, or like ADCC, you know, opens or whatever they got now. Um, you can maybe get away with that kind of stuff, like if you can kind of like half-heartedly train and maybe go out there and win. But like, if you really, really want to go out and win the big tournaments, and I think even for a small tournament, it should be the same mindset. Like, nothing should really change. Then you need to do everything. Like, it takes extra cardio, it takes weight training or body weight training. It takes more jiu-jitsu training sessions that you do when you're not competing. Like, like your diet has to change, the hydration has to change, your sleep has to change. Like, what are you listening to? How much film are you watching? Um, it takes all of that. So if you're not willing to do all these things, then just stay an academy grappler, stay in the room. Let's not even talk about that, because if you're not willing to do that work, you're going to waste your time and you're going to waste my time. I'm not going to coach you if you're not doing those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? And then when it's time to do, and they say, yeah, I'm gonna do all that, and when it's time to do that, and they're hungry and they're tired and they're beat up and they're sore, and and they want to take a day off, and you're telling them, hey, you need to show up an extra day, and they're like, oh, I think nah, that's not how it works. And for me, you know, I've shown my students, like, on multiple occasions, what I look like when I'm competing, when I'm getting ready for a tournament. You know, my face starts to change because I'm you know, I'm losing weight. You know, you see the extra hard training sessions, the extra rounds. You know, I kind of do these things on a daily basis anyway, so nothing really changes. Like, I always stay ready. Like I worked out before this before we came on live here. Like I finished my workout. I changed my workout because I normally do it later, but I did it earlier so I could get it out the way. I ran yesterday. I'm gonna run tomorrow. I'm gonna train twice today. I trained twice yesterday. I'm not even competing right now. You know, I eat very healthy during the week. I have some little cheat meals on the weekend, but see, those would change. If I was competing, there would be no cheat meals on the weekend. The training sessions would be harder. The runs would be a little harder. The lifts would be a little more intense. Like everything starts to ramp up. And I have students or people in the past, they just want to train and compete, and that's not where you got to do more. Because I'm like, what if the guy is just as good as you, but he's running and he's working out? Well, he's got the edge, right? Like he's got the edge. What if he's cutting to a weight class, to your weight class, but then you don't want to cut weight and you just want to stay at your own weight. Like, and now when you meet this guy, he's actually 10 or 15 pounds heavier than you, and he's stronger than you. Like all of that stuff adds up and makes a huge difference. So if you're not ready to do all these things, then just stay in your lane and just don't do that. And I did that when I worked at General Motors. So I would work 8, 9, 10 hours a day. It didn't matter. I still got the running. I still got the workout in. I still got the training in. Like it sucked. I had to work today, but it is what it is. You know, now I don't have that problem, right? Because I just teach and train jiu-jitsu. So now I don't have to work those long shifts. But I did that even when I worked at General Motors, because the mindset is I don't want to leave any kind of doubt in my mind. Like, well, if I would have probably did some cardio, I probably wouldn't have got as tired, and I probably would have did better, you know, if I lost. Or, man, that guy was pretty strong, and man, if I would have probably lifted some weights or stayed consistent with my weight training, I probably could have handled that guy better. Or, you know, I did 2 classes instead of 4 classes the last couple of weeks. So, man, maybe if I did a couple more classes, like I could have, you know, maybe I would have did, but you know what I'm saying? Like there should be no, like, when you lose, it's like, hey, that guy or lady was just better than me, or you know what, I just had an off day or something or whatever. But I did everything in my power to win, you know. And I have students currently and in the past where they're just really good at jiu-jitsu, but they didn't want to run. They didn't want to work out. They didn't want to change their eating habit. You know, I had one student one time, we go out to Pans, we're in Carson, California. You know, it was one of my best guys. And then we go to Chili's to eat, and I got like a grilled chicken and some broccoli or something like that. And this dude is eating the free nacho chips, tortilla chips that they give you. Yeah, the chips and salsa. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you're competing in a couple of days. Like, why are you, like, it's just grease. Like, it's a basket of grease. Like, you just ate a basket of grease. Like, what's the mindset behind that? Oh, coach, I'm gonna be all right. No, you're not gonna be all right. Like you don't put stuff like that in your body. Like, you did all this work, and now we're here, and we're like a day or two away from like stepping on the mat, and you're just gonna eat like 2 baskets of like grease. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the difference between me and like other people. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, where's the common sense in that? Like what like, you don't deserve to win. If you win, you're lucky. If you lose, like, you deserve to lose, because like you don't eat stuff like that. You don't do stuff like that at the very end, you know? I had another student one time, me and Danielle and someone else, I'm gonna say any names, but we always take our scales, and I always take a brand new scale with me. I've thrown out hundreds of scales. I'll go get a new scale because I don't want I wanted to make sure that everything is good. So we pack everything, hit the luggage, we get to the hotel room, we get out, unpack everything, pull out the scale. Danielle goes in the bathroom, she checks her weight, she's a little over. I go in the bathroom, check my weight, she's a little over. The other person goes in the bathroom, checks their weight, and they come out and they sit on the edge of the bed and they go like this. And me and Danielle just kind of look, and we're looking at that person, and we're like, how much are you over? Because they're obviously over because of their body expression and the way they did that. And they were like, I'm 3 pounds over. And their comment after that was, what am I gonna do? And me and Danielle just kind of look at each other, and we're just like, you gotta go running, fool. Like, what are you talking about?
While
Like,
you're lacing up your shoes to go run,
yes,
it looks
yes.
like you're joining us.
Yes, like what are you talking about? Like it's not gonna just magically come off. Like you can't just like, oh God, please, like can you just take these 3 pounds off me because I gotta compete tomorrow? And like it's not
Yeah.
how it works. Bro. You gotta do the work. Like that's part of what this is, and they just didn't want to do it. That bothered them. I mean, I can't. I'll give you 2 examples. Me and Danielle, we go to Portugal. We're going for the Europeans, and we land, and it's kind of late. It's getting dark, and it's kind of wet and rainy, and it's windy. And we check our weight. Of course, we're over. We got sauna suits. We're putting everything on. We're layering up. Got hoodies on. Hit the pavement. Don't know where we're at. Take off running. We know we got about 30 minutes of road work to put in to kind of bring the weight back down from the plane ride and everything over. It's just part of what we do. I went to Ireland a couple years ago by myself. No one else was with me. Same situation. It's December. It's cold. It's wet. It's raining out. I have no idea where I'm at. I check the weight. Of course, I'm overweight. Layer up. Just take off running. Like I'm hungry. I'm starving. I really didn't have anything to eat on the plane. Like little bites of protein bars, little sips of water. You gotta go through customs. You gotta catch a cab. You gotta go to the hotel room. You gotta check in. You gotta this whole process. Like it's a process, man. And like once you sign up, like man, you're in it all the way into the end. There is no like at the end, like, oh well, like the guy that ate the chips and salsa, or the person like is overweight and just doesn't want to do the run. You're gonna see it all the way through. That's what I'm saying. So back to your thing is like, hey, what do you have a student that wants to win worlds, wants to win pans, wants to win that? Hey, these are all the things that it's gonna have to be done to do that. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to sacrifice some? I had another student. This one kills me. I'm like, you want to go win Master Worlds? Okay, great. Let's go win Master Worlds. And their training never changed. Didn't show up more days. Really no runs. I'm like, hey, you should probably come and train at night because there's more people your size to come and train at night, like more higher level people. Like this is gonna be good work for you. Yeah, but that's when me and my family watch TV or we have dinner, and I'm like, bro, like you have dinner and watch TV like every day of the year with these people. Like you can't just tell them, hey, look, I set a goal, a big goal. It's in Vegas. Like for the next couple weeks, we're gonna miss out a couple days of family time together, a couple days of sitting at the table, or a couple of days of Netflix watching, TV shows. I'm gonna be at the academy putting in some work because I made this big goal to set to go and win, and I'm gonna have to sacrifice some family time. And their thing was, hey, coach, I'm not sacrificing any of my family time. And I'm like, okay, well, don't expect to win. And that's exactly what happened. They didn't win. They didn't get the desired goal because they're not willing to put in the extra work. So for anyone listening out there, your students, mine, whoever else's students, like it doesn't matter if you work 8, 9, 10 hours, you got 2 or 3 kids. If you want to do something like that and set a goal like that, there are people out there doing it. And there are people out there that are winning because they do that. And if you're not willing to do that, then just stay in the school. Don't talk to your coaches about competing. Don't waste their time. Don't waste your time because it's just a waste of time. Like it's frustrating. So I've been down that path. I know what it takes. And if you're not willing to do what it takes, then cool. Just stay in your lane. Don't compete.
I think it comes down to like the reality, knowing what the competition's doing. Like when I first started doing federations, there were guys off the boat handing their passports to the frickin' ref for their ID, and like fairly confident they spoke no English. And
Mm-hmm.
like they must have, dude, they must have trained. Like that's all they did. Like that's all they did. They would train like they didn't like that's just all they did. They're from Rio, they're from Brazil, they're from wherever, and they're coming to Chicago. And this is just Chicago. Like when I first started doing those, it's not even the worlds, right, or pans or whatever. And they're like, and so like when your 3 days of training seems like a pastime compared to those guys who are doing 2 a days, or they
Mm-hmm.
and then again they've down Purple and Up, they've been doing it since they were children. Like it's just it's a realization. It's not unlike the guys who say, oh, I just I'm a scrapper, I'll beat jiu-jitsu in a street fight. It's kind of like, well, I'm going to train hard my 3 days, dude. It's like these guys training, they're training 3 times as much as you. You know, they're training 3 times as much in a week. We've got
They're
Colin, who's going to Nogi Worlds, logged his. We have the Spark app. He logged his 400th class this year, like last week. I don't even know like how many classes that. What week are we in? We still got like 10 weeks left in the year. So you got 42. That's 10 classes a week almost. You know, and and so to that point, I think it's just that realization of what they're doing, and you go out there and you feel it, dude. Like you feel like, oh,
yeah,
dude, like
yeah, because those guys are hungry. And the thing is like I've trained in Brazil. Like I've trained in their favela project academies, you know, like I've been to these places, like places where Coach Bruno took us like an hour or so away from the beach, and you go and you get out and you're like, there's just no way there's a school here. I mean, there's just no way there's an academy. Like we get out and it's dark and it's like there's no school here. Like where are we going? Like,
Danny thinks he's ending up on the next episode of Taken somewhere. Like,
yeah,
just...
we get out and we go into this house and we go upstairs, and well, before we were going up the stairs, there was like a weight room of like old rusty weights that look like they've been sitting out in the rain, you know, like and then we go upstairs and then boom, there's this mat and it's like all lumpy and it's like taped up, and these guys have on like gis that don't really fit them all that well, and they're like, yeah, man, it's just they're hungry. Like they're using that to get their way out, and then you're in your nice comfort home, got all your amenities to you, and everything is great, and like you're not struggling whatsoever. And you think you're gonna go to Master Worlds or to Worlds or Pans or anything and go and beat a guy like that? Like, yeah, right, man. Like when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, we need to take it up a notch. We need to, you know, y'all need to be hungry. You need to be like, be ready to take on someone that is flying in from Brazil, because this is what their livelihood depends on.
Yeah.
Whether you lose or not, for the Americans, you're going to go back to work on Monday. It's all good.
Yeah, you're going to go out to dinner that night. That's right.
Yeah, you're going to go out to dinner. These people get their like their visas and stuff like are only like this is how they're going to make it, man. Like this is it. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, these guys are ready for war. I have to be ready for war. So when people say, "Oh man, you can't call jiu-jitsu a fight," like, you know, you can only say fights like at MMA. I call BS on that, because, bro, if you're doing all the right things and you got this guy or whoever coming, this girl coming up from Brazil, and they're hungry and they're looking to fight their way out of this project or this favela that they're in, and they're looking for a better life for themselves through jiu-jitsu, and you're not ready to take yourself into those dark places and be hungry and be starving and be running and work out in the cold, whatever the conditions are outside,
yeah,
you're not going to win those things, you know. And when you're ready to do that, then you'll have some success on that circuit like that. And you know, I know what that's like. Or let's say you're going to their hometown, you know, you're going to compete in Brazil, and you walk into this arena and the bathrooms aren't the same. You know, the amenities aren't the same. The locker rooms aren't the same. The mats aren't the same. The venue isn't the same. And you're like, boy, you know, like you have to be ready to take it all the way to that point. And I've fought in these venues, places like that.
I got a two-part question. Sorry to interrupt you. Part one is, what about the, you know, listeners or anybody that might be interested in jiu-jitsu? Because, you know, everybody and their mother's talking about it. It's hitting the news on so many different platforms. Obviously, like Joe Rogan.
Zuckerberg trains now.
Jocko, Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg looks good, dude. He looks good.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say? We're talking about competition, and this sounds very intimidating to the amount of commitment that you have to compete. So if everybody in the building was training with this type of commitment that you're talking about, I don't think that's realistic. So we are talking about what it takes to win. So the question is Um, well, talk to us about when it's okay or where the line can be drawn for someone who trains like 3 days a week and says, "Hey, I'm going to jump in." Like, talk to us about how that's just going to affect them, and maybe they don't have the time, or let's say they don't want to take the 3 days away, but you know what? Everybody in the school is competing, and they want to jump in. So, talk to us about them, and are they being lazy by not committing like you're talking about, like changing the diet, going for the runs, lifting the
Yeah.
weight? Like, where do they stand? And part two of the question is, after 4 or 5 years, if you're training full time,
Mhm.
you catch you get very close to a lot of people, even above your rank, because then it becomes
Mhm.
a lot about timing. You've been exposed
Mhm.
to a lot of the techniques, and you went from being tapped out like again and again and again to not only are you you're getting tapped out less, but you're getting closer, and now you're making real matches out of it. You become a good training partner. So what happens to them is they say, well, I feel like I'm doing way better against my coach or against the top guys. So they become less coachable, because
Mhm.
if I can tap out this guy or that guy, or my instructor didn't tap me out, I must be doing something good. So I don't necessarily need a coach. So can you just give us your insight on the guy 3 days a week who wants to jump in? And what do you say to those guys that have caught up to a lot of people in the school and they're not easy to deal with, but because they know the physical skill level has, they've closed the gap significantly, they all of a sudden become less coachable, and they think in order for me to learn from somebody, I got to tap them out again and again and again, like I was when I was a white belt. Because I know you've seen it, and you have a lot of guys that have moved up the ranks technically,
Yeah,
competitively,
yeah.
very very quickly.
Yeah, so the first part, I honestly feel like I said, I don't care if you have 2 kids, 3 kids, and you want to do AGF or new breed. You should do your due diligence to be prepared. You should watch extra film. Maybe you can only do 3 days a week of jujitsu, okay? But what about the runs? It takes you like 30 minutes. Like you can find time to like make your cardio a little better, you know? You don't need a gym membership. Like I do a lot of body weight squats and push-ups and burpees and ab exercises. Like, can you make your conditioning a little bit better, your strength a little bit better? You know what I mean? Because jiu-jitsu is a lot of push-pull. You got a pull-up bar. Can you do some pull-ups? I mean, I just got done doing pull-ups before we started this thing, and I did today was some squats and dips and pull-ups and ab work. Again, I'm not even competing. I'm not even competing right now. I'm just making sure that my body is ready for what I'm getting ready to put it through on the mat. You know, um, I already had my yogurt with the protein and the bananas and the blueberries in it after the workout. I had my MCT powder and my coffee and my collagen and my whey protein in my coffee this morning, and I had my water with beetroot powder, aminos, glutamine, uh, creatine, and my hydration Jocko pack. I'm not even competing right now. I'm just getting my body ready for the day. Like, can you do those simple things? And if you just do those things, you're gonna have success. If you think you're gonna get away with just average training and just average diet and average like hydration, and you're going to sleep late because you're watching TV or on your phone, like, man, good luck. Good luck. Like, the best of luck to you. I mean, maybe you pull out some wins here and there, but I don't really find that as a blueprint for success. Um, and I kind of like you just I don't know. You just don't want to see people like that succeed anyways, because they're gonna think they can keep getting away with it. You know what I mean? So like, I want people like to go all in on it, regardless of what your circumstances are. You can find ways to improve all those other areas, and if you do those things, your mental confidence goes up. Like, hey, I'm doing more than I normally am. Like, I'm giving myself a shot at least to go out here to this
Mm.
local tournament to go out and win. Just, and if you're not willing to, like, you deserve to lose. You deserve to lose. You deserve to feel sad. You deserve everything that comes to you because you didn't do anything extra to go out and win. Like you deserve to sit there like underneath the bleachers and cry, man. Like get out of here with that stuff, man. Like just try a little harder, okay? Try a little harder. And then for the other guy that is thinking he's the stuff, then you just always put the other guys that are better than him on him, and they let them take care of that. You know what I mean? I got guys who think they're coming up and they're working their way through the guys, and it's like, hey, go get him. You know what I mean? Go put him back in his place. You know, every now and then I got to do stuff like that, just to put people back in their place. I mean, it is what it is. Like you think hey, I have every school, every academy has the guys, the reinforcers. Is this, you know what I mean? It's just you. Hey man, go put that guy back in his place and give him some humble pie a little bit because he needs a big piece, you know. So that's pretty much how I take care of that, you know, as far as those guys go, you know. So
Coach, so on that it was definitely a couple weeks ago. I had to get put down. Man, Matthew's calling himself out. Is this your guy, Matthew Hines, Coach? He says
yeah.
he's like, that was definitely me a couple weeks ago. Hey, well, we weren't talking about you, but he came out.
Yeah.
So I gotta. All right, so I think, and one thing I love that Bruno says a lot, Coach Bruno, and I just want to like make this again so that we can kind of split it and make a reel out of it later. My biggest takeaway from competition is everything you're saying, right? Life is a competition.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to like, there's only one first place. There's two thirds place, which is dumb, but there's only one third place, right? Or only one first place, and it's the person who is the most prepared and performs the best on that day and did the work leading up to it. And it's, you know, all things equal, if they all did the same thing, then it's fine. It's whoever performed better that day. But if all things are not equal and your jiu-jitsu is the same, and so like we've said it, strong jiu-jitsu beats weak jiu-jitsu. Strong grappler, equal skill, beats weak grappler, equal skill. I mean, like, and anyone who hasn't felt that, you're talking about the guy who dropped 20 pounds to make your weight. That's a different. You might as well have got bumped up, dog. Like yes. It's the same thing. And so I was talking to a guy last night. He's doing AGF. He's like, I just want to see what I can do, and I think that's great. That's our gig, right? Is getting average Joes to compete. But it's more so than that, and that's the main takeaway I personally got from competition was someone who wasn't really a natural competitor, but like, dude, after you do all of that, after you're talking about feeling hungry and cutting weight, dude, I've got pictures of me in Dallas. Like I don't look good. I don't look healthy, and like Jabril's eating whatever Jabril, because he doesn't have to cut weight. He's in the unlimited. Right. And I'm like, that was when I didn't realize there was a 6-pound spread between gi and no gi. Like the next day, I'm like, I got to lose 6 pounds, dude. So, you do all that, and then you want to go do something like get a promotion or get a degree or start a new job or go start a business. Like it's much easier. It's just much like what I have to like go online and get an LLC, or I have to go take a couple classes and do that. Like it's just so much easier compared to that. Relatively speaking, it's just so much easier. And
sitting
that
right here in the office chair doing that is
right,
so much
exactly.
easier than having to go out and do those other things physically. Have to go through and endure what it takes physically and mentally to go and get what we're talking about here versus like you said, I'm just gonna go get this LLC. I'm gonna do this, put my name. Come on, man. Like no disrespect to any of that stuff, man. You know, like studying and opening up a book and reading it and having to take a test. It's hard, but it's not physical. Yeah. We're talking about physicality here, physical things like your body hurts, you're sore, you got injuries, your ego is beat up and bruised because you're probably not doing that good in the rounds in class because you're physically weaker and tired and you're hungry and you're just getting beat up and you're going through this process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's a different type of hard. Like
And it's
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 different.
mental too. Oh, I mean, it's certainly physical, but
Yeah.
I think mental, because you do different types of training. Bruno's a fan of the shorter rounds, the minute bursts. You're a fan of the 10-minute rounds. You know, dude, you get 9 minutes into that. It's like, and if you're on bottom, like that seems like 10 hours, dude. You're like, I
Yeah.
just can't, like I can't, and it's that mental strength that we talk about,
Yeah.
and trying to trying to explain to someone who hasn't felt that. It's just really it's really tricky. You know,
Yeah.
it's like trying to explain swimming to someone who hasn't felt water. Like
Right. Right.
you can
Yeah.
talk
Like
about the
lately.
aspects of it, but
Yeah. Like lately, I haven't give. We don't. I'm not giving water breaks during rounds anymore. So so yeah, there's no because people were like they're taking too long to tie their belt. They're tying their shoes. You know what I mean? Like I mean they just you know what I mean? Like hey bro, like all right, that's it. No more water breaks.
they're
Drink as
milking
much
it.
water as you need during drills. Like right before the round start, but when the round start, there are no more water breaks. So you're talking 7 minute rounds, minute rest, just to tie your belt, fix your gi, find a new partner, and then we're going again. So for 30 minutes, there's just no water break, right? Like it's just, oh, I'm thirsty, lick your lips, like David Goggins says, you know what I mean? Lick your lips. You're thirsty, lick your lips, bro. Like that's like it's like we're gonna take you into some deeper, darker places to see who you really are and stuff like that. Oh, I'm just in a an academy grappler, an occasional grappler. Like I'm here for the hobby. Like doesn't matter. Like we're different. It's just gonna be different. That's the phrase that I get from a lot of places that are close to me. When people I hear this a lot. Oh, we're not like Alvarez. Yeah. What's that mean? You're not like is the training's different. It's a lot softer. It's a lot easier. It's a lot nicer. It's a lot more comfortable. And when you do jujitsu, you have to be into these different places because my whole like what if you really have to use this stuff outside of here? You're going to be ready. What if you want to sign up for a competition next week? You're going to be ready. Like it doesn't matter what life brings you. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready right now, today, to go get after it. But let's say, oh well, you can take a round. Oh, there's no rounds off either. Like I do the thing where like, hey, you want to round off? You're tired. You're done for the class. Like I'm sorry. Like you're trying to. You're not gonna come in, take a round off, and the other did you did 2 rounds. I took a round off. Now I see you're tired. You had a dog fight with someone. Now I'm gonna go get David because he looks a little weak and a little tired because he just had a hard round. I just had a round off. I had 7 minutes off. Like I'm not gonna. That's not fair. So you're tired. You can't breathe. Like okay, you're done for the class. Get your conditioning up, man. Like you need to fix that because you're bringing our bar down, our standard down, and we're not gonna. Like I said when I went to do the seminar at your place, like I don't accommodate people's weaknesses because you don't want to work out and you don't want to run and you don't want to eat healthy and you don't want to watch extra film and you don't want we're we're not going to come down to your level, man. We're going to make you come up to our level, and if you don't like it, you go do something else somewhere else because you're going to go ruin their place and that stuff. So the mindset is just we're going to be ready all the time. It doesn't matter. I want people to understand like when they come and train with us, like, yeah, man, you should probably get some good sleep the night before you go to Alvarez. You should probably hydrate pretty good before you go to Alvarez. You should stretch and be ready before that class starts because that class is going to be hard. Like that class is going to be tough. So the mindset and everything is just different whether you're an academy grappler or not, and you want to be a competitor. It's going to be right there to where you can take it up a notch and go get after it. Or if you have to, like I said, defend yourself. You don't have to be like, oh, man, I wish I would have gotten in shape before this fight started. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're ready, man. You're ready. So, yeah, and the thing is, I have so many stories like this that I've either physically like done myself. Like I give you an example. We went to Brazil, to Rio, and I back then you could sign up for the 2 divisions. I don't think you can't do that no more. But I signed up for the adult black belt division, and then I signed up for the masters division. Okay, so I'm cutting like 11 or 12 pounds, hungry, starving, whatever. I haven't eaten anything. I'm just sipping on like water, whatever. And I go and do a 10-minute round in the adult black belt division. I lost by 2 advantages to this 20-something-year-old. I'm 30-something at the time. And now the masters division is getting ready to start. I have 30 minutes or so to cut like 2.5 pounds or something like that. It's hot, and they had a track outside. So a few of my students that were with me, they're like, "Come on, Alvarez, let's go, coach." Like, so I had to put stuff on, and I'm outside in the sun, jogging around this track, trying to cut this weight. Finally, come back in, take everything off. I make the weight, and then I had 4 more matches on top of that. Made it to the finals. I lost in the finals on points, but like, I'm here. It's time to do this. Like, there is no going backwards. There is no like, hey, I already fought 10 minutes. I already kind of like did something down here. I should settle and be happy with that. I had to go through and finish what I said I was going to do because I have people looking at me. My students are right there. Like, they're like, oh, I didn't want them to see, like, all of that stuff matters. You know what I mean? So like, I'm ready to take it wherever it needs to be taken to get what I need to go get. And I guess that's kind of like the whole moral of this conversation is like, if you want to be a competitor, you need to do whatever it takes within your power to like do the extra things to go get after it, man. If you really want to win, you know. I mean, some people, I'm sure you guys have some guys like that. I know I have. You can have some guys that are just super skilled, super talented. They're just gifted. They just were just like blessed with jiu-jitsu skills, and they don't really have to do a lot of things, man. Because they can just mop people up on the mat without even really trying all that hard. But when they come up against someone that is just as equally skilled and talented, and that other individual is doing those other things, they lose. And when they lose, they cry. Like, I've literally had grown men cry. You know, that's a very sad thing to lose for a competition because they didn't want to do the extra work. And all I can do is be like, you didn't want to do the extra work, man. Like, what else do you like? Like, what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? You know, so it's tough. It's a very hard thing, like, for some people to understand and wrap their head around this thing. But put it like you said, in anything else that you want to go get in life, you have to fight for it, man. You have to do the extra things. I don't like losing. I don't like being second best. I don't want people to talk about my school and be like, "Oh yeah, those guys are okay." I mean, yeah, they're you know, yeah, they got some good guys over there. Like, yeah, their training's okay. Yeah, their coach is okay. You know, no. Like, I didn't quit my job at General Motors to just be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's not. So that's why I went and did all the things that I've done and competed where I've competed at, and you know, because no one can ever say that. No one can say those things about me, and they can't say those things about my school. Yeah, I don't have a lot of guys out there competing right now like I would like, but that doesn't mean our room isn't tough. You know, that doesn't mean that when you walk into our place, like, you're not gonna have a hard time in there. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of one of the things that's just what our school is. It's just what we are, you know, what it is, you know. So it takes those extra things. That's what this conversation is about. You know, for anyone thinks that they can just get away with some half-hearted effort, you know, like I said, man, it's like, good luck. Good luck to you on that, you know. I mean, if you get it, great, but you know, it really wasn't earned. And I think you feel better when you do all those things. The self-gratification, like, just that feeling is like, man, I did it. Like, I did it. Like, I sacrificed so much. I put my body through so much. I fought through so many things. Still did it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that right there gives you tremendous strength going forward in anything else, because you're like, if I can do this, man, what else can I do? You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. It's a confidence boost, and even it's the self respect, you know, aspect of it too. And you know, like, if
right, right.
I'm totally cool, or as cool as one could be, if a guy's just got better jujitsu than me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I threw my A game at him and I felt good, and like
Mm-hmm.
he beat me. You know, that's a lot different than like I had nothing left to give and there was 2 minutes left. You know, like that's it's a self-respect issue a little bit too
Right.
of how you want to go into it. And I think that's, yeah, there is a difference of, you know, you earning the win, and
Mm-hmm.
earning the win for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Coach Muhammad, you got anything? I know we're a little bit over. We try to keep these to 60 minutes, but we had some good combos going. You have anything else to add or ask?
No, your insight and experience is helpful to us as coaches. I know it's helpful to the community. We love bouncing ideas off you and making sure that, we're not just up to date, but, growing our academy as competitors and with members. I mean, you're a resource to us. I know all the other people out there. You're definitely a resource to them. And, I appreciate you being on, and I hope that we get to see you soon. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you having you, and look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, let me share this before I let you guys go. This is why I was like with Coach Bruno. So when I first got my black belt, um, I was placing, third place, second place, IBJJF. I was making the podium, and one of the times with Coach Bruno, we were talking about this, and he was like, "Well, do you want to keep placing, or do you want to like win? Like, do you want to take the number one spot?" And in your mind, you're like, what kind of question is that? Like, I want to win, right? Like, I'm not here to just take like second or third place. Like, I want to win. Like, I'm not doing all this to take second or third place. I want to win. So he's like, well, you got to cut the weight. And I was like, man, I knew he was going to say that, kind of, sort of, right? Like, I was like, because in my mind, I'm thinking, look, man, I'm already running. I'm already eating healthy. I'm already training the way I'm training. Like, there's really not much else that I'm not doing out there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing the things to come out here and win. And he's like, you're going to have to go to the next weight class, down. And I'm thinking, all right, man. So I'm like 148, 149, something like that. Eating real clean, real healthy, working out, running, training. So now I got to go down to like 137, I think, without the gi, because the next weight class is 141 and a half.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, all right. So instead of doing like one run a day, now I'm doing 2 runs a day, sometimes 3 runs a day. You see what I'm saying? Like, my legs hurt, they're sore, and I have to go train, and I'm hungry, and I'm this, that, whatever. Um, but I started doing those things, and then what happens? That's where like the Master World titles that I have in 2012, 2014 from the lower weight class. The Europeans, lower weight class. Um, Brazil, the lower weight class. Um, just wherever some of my major titles are from having to go to that lower weight class by cutting the weight. See what I'm saying? So you're going to have these discussions with your guys like, hey, look, you're doing really good here, but you're going to do better here, and you're just going to have to cut that weight, and they're not going to want to do it. And it's going to be the point where, like, well, if you don't do it, you can keep getting the results that you're getting, second and third place, almost getting there, or you can cut the weight, be at the top of your weight class, be the stronger opponent at your weight class, and go take first place. You know what I'm saying? So I got some guys cutting weight for Nogi Worlds this week. They got their rash guards on, but they got layers on and hoodies on and stuff like that. And I gave them an example where I flew to Japan, cut the weight over there, fought. I think that particular tournament I lost, came back, flew back in on a Monday night, got off the plane, came through customs, went to class, trained, and I had to cut 13 pounds by Saturday. Okay. So from Monday to Saturday, after I just got done cutting weight for Japan, you eat a little bit in Japan, you got the flight, you come back, my weight went back up. Now I got to cut like 13 pounds at the end of the same week for Nogi Worlds. Well, I did it. I cut all the way down to 133, went out there, had 2 fights, and I won my division. You know what I mean? Like, it was not a fun week. Okay. Like, it there was nothing fun about that, but it's the process that I had to go through to go and get that. And once I did that, I was like, man, you can do, you listen to the David guys and stuff and all that. Like you can do more than what your brain is telling you. You like your body wants to quit on you, right? But you need a coach and people around you like, hey, you're almost there. Keep going. Like don't stop. Like you need to go to this next level, but you have to go through all this stuff first. Don't think you're gonna go through that in your nice little comfy comfort zone and you're gonna come out on top and win. You're just not. Some people might be able to do that, but I wasn't able to do that. I had to go through those extra things to do that, so I can speak on that. Like I've done those hard cuts the same week after competing and fighting, and you're sore and having to go and do all that and put my body through that and stuff like that. So, I had a coach just put me in my place and was like, yeah, I mean, you're doing great, but if you really want to win, you need to cut the weight. And so I cut the weight. And when I talk to that with some of my guys right away, it's like, I'm not doing that, and I'm like, okay, well, you'll just keep getting the results that you're getting. You know what I'm saying? So for anyone out there, like if you're just kind of right there on the cusp of like getting that first place medal, sometimes you just have to go to that lower weight class and go get after it, and you just got to go through that process to do it. So, I was in hella shape for sure, running 3 miles a day, 3 times a day, and all the extra stuff that I was doing. So you feel like a warrior when you're ready for that, man. Like when you do all that stuff, man, like you're just proud of the work you put in, and then you get the result you want. It's a priceless feeling. So I'll leave you guys with that.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Coach. So yeah, we'll see. Obviously, Muhammad's got the team going to Nogi Worlds, and then what's the next tournament you guys are that's on your radar?
My radar for us, just the next big one is going to be the Dallas Open is already scheduled for March. So
Okay.
I already put that to my team. Hey, put your funds away, get a little envelope, 10, $20 here and there. So when the registration opens, you already got the money. You don't got to be like, oh, I got to wait to get paid. Like it's already there. Let's get signed up. Let's get 60, 70 people going. And, let's keep that title going because we've held that title since 2010,
Wow.
Yeah. Since 2010, Coach Bruno and I and the other coaches in the organization have held on to that title since 2010. We lost it when they IBJJF twice in 1 year. We lost the spring, but then we won it back in the fall, and then we've won it ever since then. And we won it twice last year. We won the spring and the summer one. So the goal is to keep doing that. So, but we need soldiers. We need people to step up. Put some family time aside, get in shape, get a little more dedicated, a little bit more focused. And it makes the team stronger, it makes the jiu-jitsu better, makes the mind better, makes the body better. Like everything gets better when you start just kind of focusing in on something like that. Like everything just gets a lot better,
Well, I'm sure we'll see you in Dallas. We love to participate in those team awards. So hopefully we'll see if we can gather a group and meet you guys up there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you, and
all
then
right.
we'll see you guys soon.
See you, Coach.
All right. Have a great day. We'll see you.
Yep. Bye.